Hey folks, it's Marvin Cash, the host of The Articulate Fly, and we're back with another Southeast Striper Report with Henry Cowen. How you doing, Henry?
Hey buddy, how are you today?
Just trying to stay out of trouble as always.
Well, I'm glad to hear that. You know, we've the nice thing here is we've had somewhat of a we've had a warm up a little bit all of a sudden. I couldn't believe it. It's like spring has sprung.
Yeah, that seems to be the common refrain in the Southeast. And the amazing thing, I think, even more important than the daytime highs is the fact that the lows are not getting very low anymore.
That's right. I can tell you by the end of this week, we're going to be 50 and above every morning, come the end of this week, and we're going to be in the low to mid 70s. So that water temp is going to skyrocket, and when that happens, just watch out. These fish are they are going to be hungry, and they are going to be moving. And we had a really good week this past week with fish. Matter of fact, I had a day. I was out yesterday, bright bluebird skies, and you know how you and I always talk about overcast and prefrontal, and you can't get that every day. This wouldn't be the South if it was. You'd think you'd be in Seattle if we said that. But we're in the South, so we're going to get high bluebird skies. And I went out yesterday morning for 2 hours of fishing, and oh my God, it was just fabulous. Fabulous 2 hours of fishing in the morning. So the fish are waking up. The fish are really waking up.
Yeah, so in terms of obviously when things warm up, the fish get more active, but I'm imagining then right, the bait is probably closer to the surface as in shallower water too?
It is. We are fishing the backs of the creeks now. So what's really great is, I'll give you a perfect example of what happened to me yesterday. So came out, went into the back of a creek, which is where I expect to find the fish now, just fishing all over Lanier. There's a lot of creeks with a lot of fish in them. And at about 7 o'clock in the morning, the birds started flying. And by 7:15, we had fish over 60, 70 feet of water coming up on the surface. Marvin, the whole thing lasted maybe 15 minutes. And we were done. We picked a couple fish, and then when that all kind of stopped, the birds are still flying around, but they're not really hovered over one another like you'd expect to see on a blitz type scenario. So that's when I go back to blind casting the banks. And we picked a couple up when they were on top, and then as soon as that ended, we hit the banks for another hour and 10 minutes, and we picked another 4 or 5, and it was a beautiful morning for 2 hours of fishing.
Got it. So does that mean basically small bait fish imitations on what, probably like not super heavy sink tips?
Yeah, we're fishing the intermediates now. Now I had big schools of fish under the boat when they were up on top over 70 feet of water. Those were big schools of fish that were mostly 10 to 25 feet down, and a sinking line would have been the better choice, but we had our intermediate lines because we were blind casting the bank when we saw the birds start going. So we probably would have done a lot better if we had sinking lines on over those fish over deep water. But then once we got back to the banks, we put the intermediates on, and believe it or not, the fly of choice yesterday was a Flyman Finesse Game Changer, a white Game Changer. We rocked them yesterday, and even though you're seeing tons of 2-inch threadfin all over the banks, we have blueback herring in our lake as well, and you could just tell the fish were eating stuff a little bit bigger. The best advice I can give somebody, Marvin, is you getting out in a boat with a buddy, you guys should be fishing different flies. Let somebody start with a Game Changer that's about 3-4 inches, somebody with a Clouser that's about 3 inches, or somebody with something else that's about 2 inches, but you should not both be fishing the same fly, because you'll find one of those 3 patterns is going to be the ticket. And it just depends on what the fish are eating that morning, what's on their menu. I'm not sure what the Waffle House special is these days, but yesterday it was Finesse Game Changers.
Yeah, there you go. Absolutely. And folks, we love questions on the Articulate Fly, and Henry loves questions too, don't you, Henry?
I do. I'm happy to answer any questions. The only question you can't ask me that I'm not going to be happy about is when's your next opening? I'm already, here we are. What's today? March. We're in March 8th, and my next opening is probably around the 4th or 5th of April. So I'm about a month out right now. Which is unfortunate because I love the month of March, but I'm already booked.
Yeah, well, that's a great problem to have. And, folks, if you have a question for Henry, if you email it to us or send it to us on our Facebook or Instagram page, if we use your question, I'll send you some Articulate Fly swag, and you'll get entered to a drawing for a signed copy of Henry's book at the end of the season. And even though you're booked for the next month, Henry, why don't you let folks know where they can find you so maybe they can fish with you in April, or, maybe even get on your carp calendar for later in the summer.
That's my favorite now. You're talking carp. They can get a hold of me at 678-513-1934, or they can go to our website, which is www.henrycowen, Cowen, flyfishing.com, and you can email me from the website.
Well, there you go. Well, listen, folks, you owe it to yourself to take advantage of this great spring weather and get out there and catch a few. Tight lines, everybody. Tight lines, Henry.
Good speaking to you tonight, Marvin.